Why your kindness makes people disrespect you. Modern Stoicism. Have you ever experienced the frustration of being kind, only to face indifference or even disrespect in return? Maybe you've held the door for a stranger, offered help to a colleague, or gone out of your way to show generosity, only to be met with silence or disregard. It leaves you wondering, did I do something wrong? Is kindness really worth it? Purpose of the video. In today's video, we're diving deep into an essential question. Why can being kind sometimes lead to people disrespecting you? This isn't about urging you to stop being kind. In fact, it's about transforming your generosity into a force that reflects your own self-worth and values. We'll explore how modern Stoicism teaches us that kindness, when combined with wisdom and strong boundaries, can be one of the greatest expressions of inner strength. Welcome to Stoic Secrets, where we uncover the powerful lessons of Stoic philosophy that can change your life. Always be silent in 5 situations. There are times in life when you give your whole heart to help others, but receive worship or even irreligion in return. You help a business, hold the door for someone you don't know, but only receive a cold look or a sarcastic comment. These moments make you wonder, can I do something? Please help me have good values. This is not to encourage you to give up kindness, but to help you understand how to turn your kindness into a powerful force, reflecting your own values and strong principles in life. Let's explore valuable lessons from Stoicism, helping you to perform good deeds while maintaining your own respect and values. Number 1. Why kindness backfires. Imagine a man named Alex, an always helpful neighbor who never hesitates to lend a hand. When a friend forgets their keys, Alex drops everything to rush across town and deliver the spare set. When a neighbor's fence breaks, he steps in to fix it, despite his own busy schedule. In the beginning, his acts of generosity are met with sincere gratitude. But as time passes, Alex's kindness becomes something people simply expect. One day, Alex refuses to help because he's overwhelmed with his own commitments. Instead of understanding, his refusal is met with frustration. That's when Alex starts questioning himself. Does anyone truly appreciate my kindness? We've all been there. Kindness, when given without boundaries, can quickly be taken for granted or misunderstood. Stoic philosophy offers clarity. It's not kindness that's the issue, but how we practice it. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "The soul is dyed the color of its thoughts." When kindness is motivated by a need to please or a fear of rejection, it becomes tainted by dependency. But when rooted in values and self-awareness, it transforms into a powerful form of strength. Take another example. Emma, a dedicated worker at a high-pressure job, always stays late, taking on extra tasks without a word of complaint. At first, her hard work earns her admiration from her colleagues and praise from her boss. But over time, her contributions are simply expected. One evening, Emma politely declines to work late due to health reasons. Her boss seems disappointed, and her colleagues express annoyance. That's when Emma realizes that kindness, when practiced without limits, doesn't build respect. It fosters entitlement. The Stoics teach us that kindness isn't about blind self-sacrifice. It requires wisdom and balance. Setting boundaries doesn't make kindness less valuable. It protects it from being exploited. When kindness is not rooted in confidence and self-awareness, it can easily turn into a source of frustration for the giver and entitlement for the receiver. The lesson is simple yet powerful. Give with a generous heart, but remember to establish limits. Your kindness is a precious gift, not an unending obligation. When practiced with intention, It not only protects your dignity, but elevates the value of your actions. Kindness should never be used as a tool to seek approval, but rather as a reflection of your inner strength, something that can never be diminished by others. Number 2. Kindness versus pleasing others. Have you ever found yourself constantly going above and beyond for others, only to have your kindness taken for granted? It can be disheartening, right? Take the story of Sophia, for example. She was that employee who stayed late at work, always volunteering for extra tasks, and never once complained. At first, her dedication was praised, her efforts recognized, and she felt valued. But as time went on, something changed. Her kindness became an expectation. Her colleagues came to rely on her, assuming she would always be the one to step in, no matter the cost to her personal time or well-being. Then, one day, Sophia reached a breaking point. She had been pushing herself too hard, and due to health reasons, she simply couldn't stay late that evening. And how did her colleagues respond? Disappointment, annoyance, inconvenience. They didn't understand because they had become so accustomed to her selflessness that her setting boundaries felt like a betrayal. This moment was a turning point for Sophia. She realized that kindness, when offered without limits, doesn't inspire respect. Instead, it breeds endless expectations, turning what was once a generous gift into a tiring obligation. Think about it. How many times have you given so much of yourself only to feel drained, unappreciated, and even taken advantage of? It's a painful cycle, but one that many of us unknowingly fall into. The Stoics had a powerful lesson to teach us about this. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." What does that mean for you and me? Well, if we act out of a need to please or fear of disappointing others, our kindness can quickly become tainted by resentment and exhaustion. It's crucial to remember that setting boundaries is not a sign of selfishness. On the contrary, it's a way to protect your kindness, ensuring that it remains a voluntary act of goodwill, one that reflects your inner values rather than an obligation. It elevates your generosity, allowing you to give without feeling drained or unappreciated. When you set boundaries, you are not rejecting others. You are simply protecting your own well-being, ensuring that your kindness is sustainable, meaningful, and truly valuable. So, ask yourself, how often do you say yes when you really need to say no? Could it be that your kindness is actually being misused because you haven't set clear boundaries? By acknowledging this, you allow yourself the freedom to be kind in a way that honors both you and others. Remember, true kindness doesn't come from constantly pleasing everyone around you. It comes from being firm in your values, staying true to yourself, and offering your generosity from a place of self-respect. This is the essence of modern Stoicism, the balance between kindness and self-awareness, the strength to say no when necessary, and the wisdom to know when to set healthy limits. So, are you ready to make that shift? To stop letting your kindness be taken for granted and start practicing it in a way that truly reflects your strength and your self-worth. Number 3. Firmness without losing yourself. Imagine a man named David, a father who is known among friends and colleagues for his boundless generosity and unwavering enthusiasm. When someone needs help moving, David is always the first to show up with his truck. When a co-worker is overwhelmed, David steps in without hesitation, gladly taking on extra tasks. Initially, everyone admires his selflessness, appreciating his willingness to help at every turn. But as time passes, David's efforts become an expectation rather than an exception. One day, David says no for the first time. He's worn out and needs a moment to recharge. Instead of the understanding he hoped for, David is met with disappointment, even criticism. That's when he begins to question himself. Has my kindness been taken for granted? This situation is not unique to David. It's a universal experience many of us face. The truth is, kindness, when not accompanied by self-assertion, can easily be misconstrued as weakness. As the philosopher Aristotle once said, the way to gain a good reputation is to endeavor to be what you desire to appear. It's not kindness that's the problem, but the way it's practiced. Stoic philosophy, which emphasizes reason and self-awareness, teaches us that true kindness isn't about endlessly giving. It's about intentional giving that is rooted in personal values and balanced by healthy boundaries. Kindness, when motivated by fear of rejection or a desire to please, becomes something else entirely. It reflects a lack of self-respect. True kindness should be a reflection of inner strength, not a tool to seek approval or avoid discomfort. Take Sarah, for example, a mother who always puts her family's needs first. She sacrifices her own time, hobbies, and well-being to ensure that everyone else is cared for. At first, her family appreciates her selflessness, but over time, her sacrifices become unspoken expectations. One day, Sarah makes the bold decision to set aside one evening a week for herself, to read, practice yoga, or simply unwind. Her family, initially resistant to this change, finds it inconvenient. But Sarah knows that if she doesn't establish boundaries, she risks burning out. Through this decision, she learns a profound lesson. Loving herself is just as essential as loving others. Stoic philosophy reminds us that boundaries are not walls to isolate us, but tools to protect our mental and emotional health. They help preserve the value of our kindness, making it clear, respected, and intentional. When you set limits, you protect your own well-being and teach others to value your contributions. It starts with small steps, such as politely declining an invitation that doesn't align with your priorities or limiting how much help you can offer without resentment. Now, consider a scenario where you have a friend who constantly borrows money without returning it. Initially, you lend because you believe they genuinely need help. But as the requests become more frequent, you begin to feel taken advantage of. Without boundaries, this cycle continues. Setting a firm but respectful limit not only safeguards your finances, but it challenges your friend to address their behavior. While uncomfortable at first, this creates a healthier, more balanced relationship where kindness does not come at the expense of your own well-being. As the philosopher Epictetus wisely said, freedom is the only thing you cannot have unless you give it to others. Setting boundaries isn't about rejecting others, but about asserting your right to protect your mental health, personal values, and self-respect. By saying no when necessary, you assert the value of your kindness, showing that it is not born out of obligation, but strength. Through these simple everyday actions, you will learn that kindness is not submission, but a powerful expression of self-respect. When practiced with awareness and integrity, kindness becomes a force that enriches both your life and the lives of others. For kindness to thrive, however, it must be protected by boundaries. So take a moment to reflect. When was the last time you said yes to something you truly didn't want to do? The next time you're faced with a similar decision, will you have the courage to set boundaries without compromising your inherent kindness? Often, it's in these small everyday moments that we rediscover the delicate balance between kindness and self-respect. A balance that is essential for leading a meaningful and fulfilling life. By setting limits, we preserve the power of our kindness and live with integrity, offering our best selves to the world around us. Let me ask you, if you are ready to build inner strength, to stay steadfast without losing yourself, take action now. Like this video and share your thoughts in the comments below. True strength comes from within. Number 4. Balancing kindness and self-worth. Let me take you back to a time when I helped a close friend fix her car. She was going through a tough time financially and couldn't afford a mechanic. I spent my whole Saturday diagnosing the problem, sourcing parts, and repairing the car. At first, she was incredibly grateful, even bringing me coffee and pastries as a thank you. But just a few weeks later, when the car broke down again, she called me, not to ask, but almost expecting that I would come to the rescue once more. It wasn't that I didn't want to help, but something in her tone made me feel like my effort had been taken for granted. That's when it hit me. Kindness without boundaries doesn't just drain you, it erodes its own value. Have you ever been in a similar situation, where you give and give, but it feels like people just expect more from you, without appreciating the effort anymore? That's exactly what I was experiencing. Stoic philosophy teaches us an important lesson. Kindness needs to be paired with wisdom and clear boundaries. Without boundaries, your kindness can be misunderstood, undervalued, and even exploited. Setting boundaries doesn't make you less kind. In fact, it preserves your kindness as a genuine act, not one born out of obligation. Boundaries aren't walls that shut people out. They're bridges that help maintain healthy relationships. Think about it. Have you ever been afraid to say no because you didn't want to disappoint someone? You might have thought that saying no would make you a bad person, but in reality, it's a way to protect your well-being while still showing care and consideration. Let me tell you about my colleague Josh. He was always the first to say yes whenever anyone needed help. He took on extra tasks at work because he couldn't bring himself to refuse. At first, everyone thought he was a hero, always there to lend a hand. But as his workload piled up, he started feeling burned out and resentful. Finally, Josh made the decision to set some boundaries. He began saying no to unnecessary requests and focused on his own responsibilities. You might think this would strain his relationships, but strangely enough, it did the opposite. People started respecting him more for his clarity and for taking care of himself. Now imagine a mother who sacrifices her personal time for the sake of her family. She gave up hobbies, leisure, and even self-care, believing it was her duty to meet every need of her children and spouse. At first, her family appreciated her sacrifices, but over time, they started to take it for granted. When she decided to take one evening a week to attend yoga classes for herself, her family wasn't thrilled. They were used to her constant availability and felt unsettled. But over time, they saw how this small change revitalized her, and they learned to appreciate the importance of balance. So, here's the lesson. Kindness isn't about endlessly giving until you have nothing left. It's about knowing when to say yes and when to say no. Stoicism teaches us that kindness becomes more meaningful when it's done willingly, from the heart, not because we feel pressured to please others. Ask yourself, do I really want to do this? Does this align with my values? These questions can guide you in making decisions that honor both your kindness and your well-being. Remember, kindness should never come at the expense of your self-respect or your balance in life. This is where true inner strength lies. The more you understand when to set boundaries, the more you protect your energy and maintain the value of your kindness. You're not just giving, you're giving thoughtfully and consciously. And this brings us to the next important step, turning kindness into a source of inner strength. When you practice kindness with wisdom, it not only nurtures others, but also strengthens you in ways you might never have imagined. So, how will you use your kindness moving forward? Will it continue to drain you, or will it empower you and those around you? Let's dive deeper into that next. Number 5. Kindness as inner strength. Kindness is one of the most beautiful gifts we can offer to the world, but at times it can leave us feeling empty or even hurt. Have you ever been in a situation where you gave and gave, only to find that your kindness was taken for granted, misunderstood, or worse, overlooked? These are difficult experiences, but they shouldn't stop us from continuing to be kind. Stoic philosophy reminds us that true kindness must come from a deep inner strength, a flame that cannot be extinguished, no matter how harsh the winds of ingratitude may blow. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." This wisdom teaches us that the value of kindness doesn't depend on how others perceive it, but in our steadfast commitment to doing what's right. Think about this for a moment. Imagine you've worked tirelessly on a project, only for a colleague to take full credit without acknowledging your contributions. It stings, right? But Stoicism offers a powerful perspective. The worth of your kindness isn't determined by how it's received, but by your unwavering commitment to doing what is right. Kindness rooted in inner conviction doesn't need recognition to thrive. It flourishes because it comes from a place of deep moral integrity. This principle isn't just about work, it's applicable in our personal lives too. Picture a mother who dedicates herself to preparing meals for her family, always the last to leave the table after cleaning up. At first, her family expresses gratitude, but over time they begin to take it for granted. If her kindness were rooted in the expectation of appreciation, she might feel exhausted and disheartened. However, if her kindness comes from a place of love and a belief in nurturing her family, her strength remains unshaken, no matter how indifferent others may become. It's important to ask ourselves, why am I being kind? Where does my kindness come from? These questions aren't always easy to answer, but they are crucial to understanding the true nature of kindness. If your kindness comes from a need for approval or validation, it's fragile and easily broken. But when it arises from a place of inner strength and core values, it remains steadfast, regardless of how others behave. True kindness is about striking a delicate balance between compassion and self-respect. It's about knowing when to give and when to hold back. In healthy relationships, kindness isn't a one-way street. It's a reciprocal exchange that nurtures both parties, fostering mutual growth and understanding. This is where kindness transcends its conventional meaning. It becomes a powerful force that builds deeper, more meaningful connections. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, wisely said, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." When practiced with wisdom and awareness, kindness not only alleviates others' suffering, but strengthens us in the process. This allows kindness to be a source of dignity and inner strength. But for kindness to be truly transformative, we must maintain our self-worth and sense of value while giving. It's easy to lose ourselves in constant giving, but we must always ensure that our kindness is not self-sacrifice. It must be a conscious choice made from a place of personal strength. Ask yourself, is my kindness constructive? Does it help both sides grow? If your answer aligns with your values, then your kindness is purposeful and genuine. Kindness isn't weakness, it's a conscious choice and an expression of deep inner strength. In today's world, we often celebrate toughness over tenderness. Kindness, however, is a quiet affirmation of dignity, expressed without demanding recognition. When you choose kindness, not out of fear of losing respect, but as a reflection of your values, you'll earn respect, not from everyone, but from those who truly appreciate the virtue of generosity. So, here's a crucial question to reflect on. Does your kindness make you stronger? Does it help you live in alignment with your values? If your answer is yes, then you've transformed kindness into a source of inner strength, something that remains untarnished by the disrespect or ingratitude of others. Ultimately, kindness isn't something we offer in search of recognition. It's a choice we make to affirm who we are. In Stoicism, this is how we live with freedom and integrity. Today we've explored powerful lessons about kindness, how to turn it into inner strength, set boundaries without losing compassion, and ensure that kindness becomes a foundation for respect rather than a reason for others to take advantage of you. These lessons deepen our understanding of ourselves and equip us to channel our kindness wisely, allowing us to live true to our values with confidence and pride. Kindness, after all, is never a weakness. It's the ultimate expression of an enlightened, mature soul, guided by wisdom and love. When we learn to give thoughtfully, kindness not only brightens the world around us, but also becomes a radiant light that protects and empowers us throughout our life's journey. So don't hesitate to let your kindness shine. The world needs more of that light. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to click the like button. It means the world to me and motivates me to create even more meaningful content for you. Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories, perspectives, and experiences with kindness, whether it's brought you joy or tested your patience. Don't forget to share this video with your loved ones. Who knows, this might be exactly what they need today, more than even their morning coffee. And if today's discussion spoke to you, hit that subscribe button so you won't miss the upcoming videos. There's so much more inspiration and Stoic wisdom on the way. So when you don't set clear boundaries for kindness, it's easy to find that your good deeds are taken advantage of and not appreciated. However, setting boundaries doesn't diminish the value of kindness, but rather helps you protect your self-respect and maintain healthy relationships. If you're wondering how to turn your kindness into a real power, I invite you to continue reading the strategies in the next section to apply them to your daily life. Transforming your kindness with wisdom and boundaries. In the previous section, we explored the importance of setting limits on kindness to avoid being taken advantage of and losing respect. However, practicing kindness effectively is about more than just saying no at the right time. This section will show you specific strategies for turning your kindness into a lasting force that benefits both you and others. Number 1. Understand the power of no. When life gets tough, it can often feel as though the weight of the world is pressing down on your shoulders. But in these moments, the Stoic philosophy offers us practical and timeless wisdom to endure hardships and, perhaps, even emerge stronger from them. Stoicism has long been a guiding light for individuals going through difficult times, and today I want to share with you 3 Stoic secrets that can help you navigate life's challenges. The first secret is about understanding the importance of your well-being. Have you ever tried to help someone else when you were feeling drained and exhausted? It's nearly impossible to be of any help if you aren't first taking care of yourself. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most well-known Stoics, said, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." This is a wake-up call. It's a reminder to prioritize yourself, because only when you're mentally, physically, and emotionally healthy can you truly support those around you. It's easy to get caught up in the needs of others, and while it's admirable to want to help, it's essential to recognize that if you aren't replenishing your own energy, you will burn out. In tough times, this becomes even more important. Taking care of yourself doesn't make you selfish. It makes you able to give without depleting your own resources. So, be mindful of feeding your mind with positive thoughts, keeping your body strong, and nurturing your soul with peace. By doing so, you will be in a much better position to support others when they need it most. The second Stoic secret is cultivating an iron mind. When challenges come your way, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by the situation. But what if instead of being intimidated by difficulties, you learn to embrace them as opportunities to grow? Stoicism teaches us that our thoughts and reactions are entirely within our control, and how we respond to external events is what shapes our experience. Epictetus, another great Stoic philosopher, wisely said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This simple yet profound statement shows us the power we hold over our emotions and responses. In every tough situation, we are given a choice. We can choose to react with frustration, or we can choose calm, clarity, and determination. A moment in your life when you faced a tough challenge, whether it was a project at work or a personal struggle. Instead of letting frustration take over, imagine responding with poise and strength. When you begin to train your mind, you realize that every obstacle is an opportunity to become stronger. Developing an iron mind doesn't happen overnight, but by consistently practicing resilience and focusing on your inner strength, you will find yourself better equipped to handle anything life throws at you. Embrace discomfort, stay present, and remind yourself that you can withstand any storm. The third Stoic secret is focusing on what you can control. The truth is, many of the things we worry about are beyond our control. We can't control other people's actions, the weather, or the economy. So why do we waste so much of our mental energy on them? Seneca, a Stoic philosopher known for his wisdom, once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." This speaks to the idea that we often amplify our problems in our minds, making them seem worse than they truly are. Instead of spending energy on things you can't change, focus on what you can control: your thoughts, your actions, and your mindset. The more you focus on what's in your power, the more you will feel empowered and capable of facing challenges. You see, we often create our own suffering by worrying about things that are out of our hands. Once you recognize that you can control your response to life's events, you will find peace in letting go of things you can't change. If you focus on what you can control, you'll discover that you have far more power than you imagined. Now, let's bring these three Stoic secrets together. Picture yourself in a storm, wind howling, rain pouring down, and everything around you feeling unstable. You could panic, try to control the weather, or allow fear to take over. But instead, if you remember the Stoic principles, prioritizing your well-being, cultivating an iron mind, and focusing on what you can control, you will be able to remain calm and grounded. You become the steady presence in the storm. You understand that while you can't control the elements, you have full control over how you respond. This is the essence of Stoicism. It's not about controlling everything around you, but mastering how you face life's challenges. By applying these principles, you'll find that you are not only surviving tough times, but growing through them. You'll discover that your strength lies in your response, not in the events themselves. Number 2, prioritize your well-being first. Life will test you. You will face moments when you feel stretched thin, as if the weight of obligations, expectations, and hardships are pressing down on you all at once. In these moments, kindness often feels like both a duty and a burden. You want to be there for others, to help, to support, to give. But what happens when kindness starts draining you instead of uplifting you? What happens when prioritizing everyone else leaves you feeling exhausted, bitter, or lost? This is where a crucial Stoic lesson comes in. Prioritize your well-being first. It's not selfish, it's survival. Imagine a firefighter rushing into a burning building without their gear. Their instinct to save others is admirable, but without protecting themselves first, they're not just ineffective, they're at risk of losing everything. The same applies to you. If you constantly pour from an empty cup, soon there will be nothing left to give. A modern story that illustrates this well is that of a young woman named Sarah who worked tirelessly at a non-profit. She was admired for her generosity, always putting others before herself. But over time, the endless demands broke her spirit. She began feeling resentful, not because she lacked compassion, but because she never saved any of it for herself. It took a breakdown for her to realize kindness should never come at the cost of your own mental health. If you burn yourself out, who will be left to keep the fire of kindness alive? The Stoics believed in balance. Helping others is noble, but self-preservation is essential. Even Marcus Aurelius, the emperor burdened with the fate of an empire, understood that neglecting oneself was a direct path to ruin. He practiced solitude, reflection, and self-care to maintain the strength needed to lead. So I ask you, are you taking care of yourself as much as you care for others? Do you respect your own limits? Or do you constantly override them out of guilt or obligation? Remember, prioritizing your well-being isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's the foundation of an iron mind, a mind that can endure storms without being shattered. This is one of the Stoic secrets. You must stand strong first before you can lift others. If you find yourself overwhelmed, ask, am I sacrificing myself in the name of kindness? If the answer is yes, it's time to recalibrate. Stoic rules teach us that true resilience isn't just about enduring hardships. It's about knowing when to step back, recharge, and realign. You owe yourself the same kindness you so freely give to others. Let that be your mantra when times get tough. Protect your energy, guard your peace, and remember, a strong you is the greatest gift you can offer the world. Number 3. Set boundaries to avoid resentment. Let me tell you something that took me a long time to learn. Kindness without boundaries isn't kindness, it's self-sacrifice. You might think that being endlessly giving makes you a good person, but if you constantly let others take without limits, you'll end up feeling drained, frustrated, and worst of all, resentful. And resentment, that's a poison to the soul. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And what kind of thoughts will you have if you let yourself be used, if your generosity turns into a source of suffering? That's why setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's essential. Think about it. When you say yes to everything, are you truly helping others, or are you just avoiding discomfort? Real kindness, the kind that comes from strength, is measured, intentional, and given freely, not extracted through guilt or manipulation. The Stoics teach us that virtue lies in balance. Epictetus reminds us, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In other words, people might not like your boundaries. They might call you selfish, cold, or unkind. But ask yourself, is it unkind to protect your own peace? Is it wrong to respect your own limits? If anything, modern Stoicism shows us that maintaining boundaries allows us to give more meaningfully. It ensures that when we choose to be generous, it's a conscious act, not an obligation. But how do you set these boundaries? Start by understanding what drains you. Pay attention to when you feel resentment creeping in. That's your mind's way of telling you a boundary has been crossed. Then, communicate it clearly. Not with anger, not with guilt, but with quiet confidence. Seneca, another great Stoic thinker, said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Most of the time we fear that setting boundaries will lead to rejection or conflict, but in reality, those who respect you will understand, and those who don't, well, they were only interested in what you could give, not in who you truly are. Where in your life are you saying yes when you desperately want to say no? Who in your world is taking more than they should, leaving you exhausted? It's time to reclaim your energy. Setting boundaries doesn't mean shutting people out. It means keeping yourself whole. The Stoics believed in rational action and emotional resilience. And if you truly want to embody the lessons of Stoicism, you must practice this balance. You must be strong enough to stand firm and wise enough to know that real kindness, the kind that lasts, always comes with limits. This is not just about protecting yourself. It's about preserving the quality of your giving. And that, my friend, is the essence of modern Stoicism. We want to hear from you. To join our community, share your thoughts below. If you believe that setting boundaries is an act of self-respect and the key to maintaining genuine kindness, comment, "I protect my energy" below. Your participation will not only help spread the spirit of Stoicism, but will also build a strong community where people learn, grow, and live more balanced lives together. Number 4. Evaluate the true intention behind requests. Let me ask you something. How often do you say yes to things you don't really want to do? Maybe it's because you don't want to disappoint someone, or perhaps guilt whispers in your ear, making you feel like you should help. But let's be honest, when you act out of obligation rather than true intention, does it feel like kindness? Or does it feel like self-betrayal? The Stoics understood this deeply. They taught that our actions should be rooted in reason, not pressure. Marcus Aurelius himself reminded us, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This is one of the Stoic secrets to maintaining integrity, evaluating the true intention behind every request. Think of a time when you helped someone, not because you genuinely wanted to, but because you felt like you had no choice. How did that make you feel? Chances are it left you drained, maybe even resentful. That's because giving from a place of guilt isn't generosity, it's surrender. And if you make it a habit, people will sense it. They might not respect your time or your boundaries because in their eyes, you're always available. But here's the truth. Saying yes to everyone else while saying no to yourself is a fast track to burnout. And what good are you to anyone if you're too exhausted to give meaningfully? That's why it's so important to pause and ask yourself, does this align with my values? Am I doing this out of genuine kindness, or am I doing it to avoid discomfort? I once had a friend who always leaned on me for support. At first, I was happy to be there for them, but over time, I noticed something. Our friendship was one-sided. Every time they needed something, they reached out. But when I needed support, silence. At first, I ignored it, telling myself that being a good friend meant always being available. But deep down, I started to feel used. The moment I set a boundary, telling them that I couldn't always be their emotional crutch, they pulled away. And that was the moment I learned a powerful lesson. Some people only value you for what you can give, not for who you are. That's why one of the most important Stoic rules is to give with intention, not compulsion. When you choose to help, do it because you want to, not because you have to. True generosity comes from a place of strength, not obligation. When you start filtering requests through your values, you reclaim your power. You start giving with a full heart instead of an empty one. And that, my friend, is how you build an iron mind. A mind that is firm in its decisions, unwavering in its principles, and unshaken by external demands. The next time someone asks for your help, don't answer immediately. Take a breath, reflect. Does this align with who I am? If the answer is yes, then give fully and freely. If the answer is no, then stand firm in your refusal. This is not selfishness, it's self-respect. The Stoics didn't believe in mindless giving, they believed in intentional action. And if you want to unlock the true power of modern Stoicism, this is where it begins. Because in the end, it's not about how much you give, It's about how much of yourself you preserve while doing so. That is one of the greatest Stoic secrets of all. Number 5. Don't let others' reactions define your kindness. I want to share something with you, one of the Stoic secrets that can transform the way you navigate life's trials. True kindness is not measured by how others respond to it. In a world where people often equate kindness with praise or gratitude, it's easy to feel disheartened when your good intentions go unnoticed or even rejected. But if you allow others' reactions to dictate your kindness, you surrender control over your own virtue. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly, but none of them can hurt me." His point? Kindness is an internal practice, not an external exchange. You don't give kindness expecting validation. You do it because it aligns with who you are. Think about it. If a tree provides shade, it doesn't ask whether the person standing beneath it is grateful. It gives because that is its nature. Likewise, your kindness should be an extension of your character, not a contract with the world demanding appreciation. People may misunderstand, dismiss, or even exploit your goodwill, but that says more about them than it does about you. The only thing within your control is your intention. Seneca put it plainly, "A good character, once established, is not altered by fortune. It holds its ground in all situations." When you act kindly despite the indifference or hostility of others, you cultivate strength, not weakness. You build an unshakable foundation within yourself that no external force can erode. In today's world, where cynicism often overshadows sincerity, practicing kindness without expectation is an act of quiet rebellion. The moment you free yourself from needing a specific response, you gain a new kind of power, the power to act according to your values, regardless of external noise. And trust me, this mindset will save you from countless disappointments. You might hold the door open for someone who walks through without acknowledgement, or offer help to a colleague who takes it for granted. But if you shift your focus from how they react to how you feel for having done the right thing, you start to experience an intrinsic reward far greater than any fleeting praise. Why should someone else's lack of gratitude dictate your goodness? Their response is beyond your control, but your integrity remains yours to safeguard. When you internalize this, you liberate yourself from frustration and resentment. You become a source of light, unbothered by whether others choose to see it. This is one of the Stoic secrets that leads to true peace. Kindness for its own sake, unshaken by the winds of others' reactions. Number 6. Recognize the value of compassionate detachment. Compassionate detachment is the practice of offering kindness and support to others without becoming emotionally attached to the outcome or seeking validation in return. It involves helping others selflessly without the expectation of recognition, appreciation, or rewards. This approach allows us to maintain the purity of our intentions, focusing on the act of kindness itself rather than what we may receive in return. When we detach from the need for external validation, our actions come from a place of genuine care and empathy, fostering an environment where kindness can thrive. Compassionate detachment helps reduce emotional frustration or resentment, as we no longer depend on others' reactions to feel fulfilled. Instead, the reward comes from knowing we've made a positive impact, which leads to a deeper sense of satisfaction and fulfillment. This practice also helps us preserve our emotional energy. Helping others without attachment prevents emotional burnout, as we are no longer drained by unmet expectations. By focusing on the act of giving, we experience greater peace and joy, knowing that our efforts are aligned with our values. In essence, compassionate detachment allows us to offer help freely and unconditionally, promoting healthier relationships and a more fulfilling, peaceful life. It teaches us that true fulfillment comes from within, not from external recognition. Number 7. Respect others' boundaries as you set your own. Respect is a two-way street. Just as we set boundaries to protect our peace, we must honor the boundaries of others. Too often we focus on enforcing our own limits while disregarding the lines drawn by those around us. But what is the point of demanding respect if we do not give it in return? The Stoics understood that harmony in life comes from balance, and relationships are no different. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." True character is revealed not by words, but by how we treat those around us. If we wish to build meaningful connections, we must not only protect our own space, but also respect the space of others. Think about the last time someone crossed your boundaries. Maybe a friend dismissed your need for solitude, or a colleague assumed you'd take on extra work without asking. How did that make you feel? Frustrated? Unheard? Now, flip the perspective. Have you ever unknowingly done the same to someone else? Respecting others' boundaries is not just about avoiding conflict. It's about building trust. If we continually push past someone's limits, they will begin to withdraw, no matter how much they care for us. Seneca reminds us, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Listening is a crucial part of understanding where someone's boundaries lie. When we take the time to recognize and honor them, we show that our kindness is not selfish, but sincere. I once had a friend who always answered my calls, always made time for me, until one day they stopped. At first I was confused, even hurt. But when I finally asked, they told me the truth. They had been saying yes to me when they really needed to say no to protect their own energy. And I had been too focused on my own needs to notice. That conversation changed me. It made me realize that if I truly valued my relationships, I had to respect when someone needed space, just as I expected them to do for me. The Stoics believed in self-awareness and emotional discipline, and that includes recognizing when our own actions might be overstepping. This is one of the most powerful Stoic secrets, to lead with understanding rather than assumption. Modern life is full of distractions, demands, and pressures, making it even more critical to cultivate relationships built on mutual understanding. If you truly want to practice the wisdom of Stoicism, start by being mindful of how you interact with those around you. Give others the same respect you seek. Ask instead of assume. Accept rather than push. When you do this, you will not only strengthen your relationships, but also find a deeper sense of peace within yourself. Because in the end, respect isn't just about what we expect. It's about what we give. And that, my friend, is one of the greatest Stoic secrets of all. Number 8. Learn the art of saying no gracefully. There's a certain power in the word no, a quiet strength that can protect your peace, your time, and your energy. Yet, so many of us struggle to use it. Why? Because we fear disappointing others. We feel guilty, as if saying no makes us selfish or unkind. But let me ask you, how many times have you said yes when every part of you wanted to refuse? How often have you overextended yourself just to avoid the discomfort of turning someone down? The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that self-respect is built on the ability to set limits, and that true kindness comes not from sacrificing ourselves endlessly, but from being intentional with our energy. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." In other words, people may not always like your boundaries, but their approval is not what defines you. I once had a colleague who always asked for my help whether it was reviewing his work, covering his shifts, or listening to his personal struggles. At first, I wanted to be there. I wanted to be the dependable person who could support a friend. But over time, I noticed something. My own work was slipping, my patience was thinning, and I was growing resentful. The more I said yes, the more drained I became. And yet, every time I considered saying no, I hesitated. I didn't want to be seen as unhelpful, but then I realized something. Saying no isn't about rejecting the person, it's about respecting myself. So the next time he asked, I simply told him, I can't this time, but I hope you find a good solution. And you know what happened? Nothing. The world didn't end. He found someone else and life moved on. That moment taught me one of the most valuable Stoic secrets, that boundaries, when set with kindness, do not destroy relationships. They strengthen them. How do you say no without guilt? The key is to do it with grace and clarity. You don't need long explanations. You don't need to justify your decision endlessly. A simple, I can't commit to that right now, or I have to focus on my priorities, is enough. The people who respect you will understand, the ones who don't. They were never really valuing you. They were valuing what you could do for them. This is where the iron mind comes into play, the ability to stand firm in your decisions, unmoved by the discomfort that comes with enforcing them. Saying no is not a rejection of others. It is an affirmation of your own needs, your own priorities, and your own well-being. Who have you been over-accommodating at the expense of your own peace? The Stoics taught that our greatest duty is to align our actions with wisdom, not obligation. You are not responsible for carrying everyone else's burdens at the cost of your own. The more you practice this, the more you'll realize that saying no isn't just about self-protection. It's about creating space for the things that truly matter. And that, my friend, is one of the most powerful Stoic secrets you can ever learn. Number 9. Keep your kindness rooted in self-respect. Let me tell you something that many people overlook. True kindness starts with self-respect. If you're constantly giving to others while neglecting yourself, that's not kindness, that's self-sacrifice, and over time, it leads to resentment. Real kindness, the kind that lasts, must be rooted in a strong sense of self-worth. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest voices of Stoicism, reminds us, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. That starts with how you treat yourself. If your kindness comes from guilt, fear, or the need for approval, it's not really kindness, it's a transaction. But when you cultivate self-respect, when you know your own value, you give freely, not out of obligation, but from a place of strength. Think about it. If a well runs dry, how can it nourish others? You've seen it before. People who constantly give and give until they have nothing left. Maybe that's even been you at some point. You say yes to every request, put everyone else's needs above your own, and convince yourself that being selfless is the highest virtue. But where does that leave you? Exhausted, underappreciated, worn thin. Kindness should never come at the cost of your own well-being. The Stoics understood this balance deeply. They taught that virtue is about living in harmony with reason, and reason tells us that we can't pour from an empty cup. Seneca put it clearly, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." If you spread yourself too thin, you become ineffective, not just for yourself, but for those you wish to help. Let's bring this into modern Stoicism. Look at the way American culture often glorifies the grind, the hustle, the idea that putting yourself last is somehow noble. You hear stories all the time, like that single mother working 2 jobs, giving everything to her kids, but forgetting to take care of herself. Or the businessman who stays late every night, thinking he's providing for his family, but slowly losing his connection to them. Where does this lead? Burnout, frustration, and a kindness that becomes a burden rather than a gift. True kindness should energize you, not drain you. When you respect yourself, you set boundaries. You understand that saying no doesn't make you unkind. It makes your kindness more intentional. It makes you stronger. Are you kind to yourself in the same way you're kind to others? Do you offer yourself the same patience, forgiveness, and generosity that you extend to those around you? If not, why? The Stoic lessons teach us that everything starts from within: your discipline, your resilience, your kindness. If you don't cultivate these things for yourself, how can you genuinely offer them to the world? This is the core of modern Stoicism. Kindness should never be an act of self-neglect. When you respect yourself, your kindness carries more weight, it becomes genuine, and most importantly, it becomes sustainable. The greatest act of kindness you can show the world is to take care of yourself first, because only then can you truly give without losing yourself in the process. When you learn to combine kindness with wisdom and healthy boundaries, you not only protect yourself, but also create deeper and more meaningful relationships. In this way, kindness is not just an act of sacrifice, but an expression of inner strength and self-respect. Hopefully, the lessons in this video will help you practice kindness in a smart, balanced, and meaningful way, bringing positive change to your life and the lives of those around you. To wrap up, remember, the key lesson here is that setting boundaries in kindness is essential to protecting your self-worth. Kindness should always be intentional, grounded in your personal values, and balanced with self-respect. Now, take a moment to reflect. Does your kindness make you stronger? Does it align with your values? Answering these questions will help you offer your kindness in a way that nurtures both your well-being and the well-being of others. Final thought. Kindness is never a weakness. When practiced intentionally, it becomes a powerful force of inner strength, empowering you to live authentically while protecting yourself and others. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Stoic Secrets. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss any of our upcoming videos where we dive deeper into modern Stoicism and uncover more Stoic secrets. Share your thoughts and experiences with kindness in the comments below. Let's spread kindness together and reflect on how it truly aligns with our values.